Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So we are about a week away from the start of the NFL drafts. I know Jaden Daniels to the Las Vegas Raiders sounds very good in theory, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Vegas, either J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix Jr. or maybe a guy like Spencer Rattler someday, in the middle of the draft. I think that's, way more likely than Jaden Daniels. I know Jaden Daniels and Antonio Pierce have their connection from their days at Arizona State, but nonetheless, I don't think we're going to see anything all that crazy from the Las Vegas Raiders, but I would not be surprised if they traded, one of these. I mean, they have sneaky deep draft capital. You've got your pick in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, and then you have 2 7th-round picks, and then you've got a 6th-round pick. I really wouldn't be surprised if Michael Penix falls to the late first, early second, and the Las Vegas Raiders make a call and select him. But nonetheless, guys, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. One big thing I want to talk about right here, right now, is the Raiders are still in such a good spot, and they have this momentum from Antonio Pierce being head coach, or the interim head coach, last year after Josh McDaniels got fired, and they end up going 5-4 in Antonio Pierce's time. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie QB, goes 5-5, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in his final month of his rookie season. You've got all this momentum, and it's just a really good time to be a Raiders fan, in my opinion. So welcome back to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders content. Raiders fans, appreciate you guys as always. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. But guys, here's the thing. So I just saw a report here, and this was the exact excerpt. The whispers are getting louder that the Raiders just might take Washington QB Michael Penix Jr. with the 13th overall pick. Raiders insider Vic Tafur reported this week at The Athletic. Penix's stock has risen since he had clean medicals at the NFL scouting combine. He has the best deep ball in the draft, but in our book is still a bit of a project mechanically to be taken this high. Folks, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors all offseason, especially leading up to the NFL draft. And it's Tuesday, April 16th at the time of this recording. It's only going to get crazier at the start of draft week next Monday. You're going to be seeing a whole bunch of stuff, and teams do leak things, and it's not necessarily always the truth, right? So Michael Penix Jr., to me, I think he's got the best deep ball in the entire draft class. We were saying it at the beginning of this video. It does seem very unlikely that Jaden Daniels is actually a Las Vegas Raider. I think one of the only situations that this happens is if for some weird reason he sneakily falls back, if Washington passes up on him and then the Patriots pass on him. But I do think a team would make a call to, trade into the top 5 to select Jaden Daniels if for some weird reason he fell. But guys, the Raiders do seem to be pretty big on J.J. McCarthy. I wouldn't be surprised. Usually there's a quarterback that falls in every single draft class, right? And most people, I think, would just kind of take a guess that it would be J.J. McCarthy because Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner. Obviously, we don't even need to mention Caleb Williams. The Raiders actually don't seem to be all that enamored by Drake May. I would actually consider Drake May being a Las Vegas Raider quarterback zilch to nada. I don't think there's any world that would happen, but who knows here. I do think it's very unlikely the Raiders make a trade up for Jaden Daniels, but who really knows? JJ McCarthy, I also think is unlikely because I do think a team like Minnesota is going to trade up into the top 5 to select him. You got to worry about guys like the Denver Broncos. You got to worry about, the Seattle Seahawks could potentially trade up in there. So I don't think J.J. McCarthy to the Las Vegas Raiders is going to happen, but I wouldn't, take that out of the equation. I really think they're going to be left with 2 options. Take Michael Penix Jr. I don't think they would take him at 13th. The addition of Cody White here, I don't think does anything too crazy for what they would do in the first round. But they do have some extra depth, some extra talent on that offensive line. It seems like, for most Raiders fans, you're either going with an offensive tackle in the first round at pick 13, or you're going to go with a cornerback at pick number 13. But once again, it wouldn't shock me if they take Penix at 13, but who really knows? The point is still, though, that the Las Vegas Raiders are in a really good situation. And no matter what they do with the first pick or the first round selection, once again, man, you still got a second round, pick 44. You still got round 377. So you've got 3 picks inside the top 100. You're hopefully going to go out there and get 3 guys who are going to help you compete and win day 1. You've got your pick in the 4th round, in the 5th round. And then once again, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Telesco does a little bit of magic here in the late stages of the draft, or uses this as leverage with your 6th round pick from the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you've got 2 7th round picks from Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings. So, we're really going to learn a lot about Tom Telesco and the direction that he wants to take this Raiders team next season. We mentioned in our Raiders video from the other day that the report was that Antonio Pierce wants a fresh QB and that Tom Telesco feels good enough with Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew for next season. And then once again, there's only 2 QBs on the roster right now, so you would take a QB at some point, or I guess you could sign a veteran by the time the draft's over. But who really knows? I think that's the point of why Gardner Minshew was brought in here. I look at this offense, and Devonte Adams, has been actually, I've got a quote right here. This is what he said in January. I think having AP here will be good for this organization. Wide receiver Devonte Adams said in January per ESPN's Paul Gutierrez, he kind of embodies what it means to be a Raider, and that mentality, that swag, and all the things that he endorses is the things that I believe in. So, Devonte Adams came out and said in the last week or so that he wants to be a Raider, and if he didn't want to be a Raider, he wouldn't be a Raider right now. So you've got a top 3 undisputed wide receiver in the National Football League. You've got a really great, underrated, under-recognized wide receiver 2 in Jacoby Myers, their free agent acquisition from last offseason. And then things get a little bit interesting. So they're definitely going to take a wide receiver at some point in this draft. But Trey Tucker did show flashes, just like Michael Mayer, their last year's 2nd-round selection out of Notre Dame. I'm really excited about Michael Mayer, and I'm really excited about Trey Tucker's 2nd seasons in the National Football League. You've got a stud left tackle in Colton Miller. You've got a new running back room with the loss or the departure of Josh Jacobs, with Samir White coming in as RB1, and then a perfect complementary running back, in my opinion, in Alexander Mattison. Obviously, we talked on this yesterday, the big addition, Christian Wilkins. Folks, this defensive line is absolutely loaded with Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, and Malcolm Kuntz, who had a breakout season last year with the Raiders. Deeper on, the linebacker room, in my opinion, still really good. Robert Spillane coming off a career high in pretty much every category last season, being a full-time starter for the first time in his career. Double D, Divine Diablo. They do need another cornerback, but right now as it stands, I love the addition of Jack Jones from the New England Patriots last year. I'm interested once again in another second-year guy in Jacorian Bennett, but I know they have some holes specifically at right tackle and cornerback, and who knows what they're going to do at the quarterback spot. But once again, this is going to be a fun, exciting Raiders draft because the team's really freaking solid, man. So that's it for me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders content. Let me know, what are you doing at pick 13